There is a mistake that we could make when introducing V-Ray into our pipelines, and that is to make the assumption that our current and probably hard-learned workflow has to be thrown out and a whole new way of doing things assimilated before we can even start to make use of the software in a production setting. To be honest, this is generally speaking not true. Yes, there will be a few operating differences that exist between V-Ray and the install renderers we may previously have worked with. There are a few tools that are not quite the same or don't quite work in the same manner as we are perhaps used to, but it is entirely possible to continue working with the vast majority of 3ds Max's standard tools just as we perhaps already have been doing. We could refer to this approach as a Max-centric workflow. Whilst this Max-centric workflow may be an ideal way to quickly start using V-Ray in production, it will of course lead us to becoming familiar with its features, getting to know the layout of its tools and so on. There is arguably a better approach. Better simply because it helps us take full advantage of the tools written specifically for V-Ray. In this V-Ray-centric workflow, we would take advantage of V-Ray's own versions of essential daily use tools such as cameras, lights, materials, frame buffer, exposure controls, and so on. This approach can have some very beneficial effects. For one thing, it will really help optimize our rendering pipeline's efficiency. We get an efficiency in workflow because these tools are naturally designed to work together, they integrate well. And of course, we get an internal efficiency from the renderer, as everything written as a V-Ray tool will have been optimized to work as efficiently as possible with the renderer's own internal algorithms. Ultimately, the choice of how we work with V-Ray is of course entirely up to us. Oftentimes, artists will mix and match some aspects of these two approaches with some of their own preferences so as to get a workflow that works well for them. In the end, so long as we are producing the quality and amount of work required to complete our current projects, then all is good. These suggestions really are just food for thought. Well, time now to move on to installing and setting up V-Ray as our 3ds Max production renderer.